Hi there! If you're watching this video while the kitchen's still a mess, the laundry's waiting, and your mind is spinning, I get it. There were days I'd stand right in the middle of my home looking around and just feel stuck. Not because I was lazy, but because I was tired, and everything felt urgent. The clutter wasn't just physical, it was this quiet panic underneath, like I was losing control of my time, my energy, maybe even myself. I've been there. I've tried to fix it by cleaning more, buying more organizers, making big plans. But what actually helped was smaller, simpler things that made the day feel less heavy. This video isn't a makeover. It's just a soft start, 12 shifts that helped me feel a little more in control without pushing myself harder. So if you're also looking for a small way to quiet the chaos, let's start with something so ordinary you might not even notice you're doing it. I used to come home and drop my tote bag right by the door. Sometimes it was groceries, sometimes my work laptop. Just for a minute, I'd say. But by the end of the week, that just for now spot turned into a catch-all zone: receipts, jackets, unopened mail. So I gave that corner a job, not a decoration, just a rule. A small tray for the keys, one hook for the bag. Anything else, I carry it straight to where it belongs, or I don't bring it in at all. Once I stopped letting the floor become an option, I noticed something else shifted too. My brain didn't feel like it had another unfinished thing waiting. I could walk in and exhale. It wasn't about being tidy, it was about not being immediately overwhelmed. I'll be sharing more about how I reset my entryway to stay clear even on busy days in tomorrow's video, so stay tuned. Now, let's look at why certain areas in your home always get messy. It's rarely random. There's usually a pattern. There was a time when I felt like I was cleaning the same spots over and over: the kitchen counter, the end of the dining table, that one chair in the bedroom where clothes went to die. It was like déjà vu every day. I'd clear it all, feel a moment of peace, and by evening it was full again. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I wasn't disciplined enough. Maybe I just wasn't trying hard. But eventually I realized it wasn't about effort. It was about pattern. And the pattern wasn't random. Every messy spot was telling me something. That pile of clothes on the chair. It meant I didn't have a proper place to put clothes that had been worn once but weren't dirty. The counter covered in mail. That meant I needed a real system for incoming papers, not just wishful thinking that I'd sort them later. So I stopped cleaning blindly and started observing. What shows up here again and again? What doesn't have a real home? What's being dropped because it's the easiest spot, not the best one? When you treat clutter as a clue, not a character flaw, everything shifts. You're not failing. You're just getting feedback. And once you start solving for the root, instead of just wiping the surface, the mess stops coming back so fast. Let's look at one powerful way to prevent mess before it even starts by making cleanups easier the moment something happens. I used to think I just needed more motivation. That if I were really organized, I'd wipe the counters more, sweep the crumbs right away, tackle the dust the moment I saw it. But motivation wasn't the problem. Distance was. My cleaning tools were all in one neat cabinet down the hallway, tucked away, safe, organized, and completely unhelpful when I noticed toothpaste on the sink right now and didn't feel like walking across the house for a cloth. So I didn't. I left it. Told myself I'd do it later. What changed? I stopped centralizing everything. Instead, I stashed a few essentials where the mess usually happens. A cloth under the bathroom sink, a small dustpan in the kitchen drawer, a lint roller near the couch. Nothing fancy, just reachable. Now when I see something small that needs attention, I handle it in 10 seconds. No internal debate, no delayed guilt, just done. We often think we need better habits, but sometimes we just need to make it easier to act in the moment. And when cleanups feel like one-step moves instead of mini errands, we stop putting them off. Coming up, let's talk about designing your home to match the way you actually live, not the way a Pinterest board says you should. I used to organize based on where things should go. Coffee stuff in the kitchen, chargers in the drawer by the TV, laundry supplies in the laundry room. It all made sense on paper and looked great when I first set it up. But in real life, I was still walking back and forth, forgetting where I put things, or worse, just leaving them out for now. Because the truth is, I don't live like a floor plan. I live in loops. I make coffee while packing school lunch. I fold laundry on the couch because that's where the sunlight hits. I charge my phone in the hallway because that's where I usually drop my bag. When I started paying attention to how I actually moved through my day, things got easier. I stopped organizing by category and started organizing by flow. Now the coffee filters live right by the kettle, not in a cabinet across the kitchen. The lint roller is next to where I get dressed, not buried in the cleaning closet. And yes, the phone charger stays in the hallway because that's real life. It's not the most efficient layout, but it works with my habits instead of against them. And when your systems match your rhythm, you waste less time and make fewer piles. You don't need to redesign your whole home. Just adjust a few items to fit the way you actually live. Next, let's shift from where things go to when we choose to deal with them. I used to leave new things in the shopping bag for days, sometimes weeks. I'd get something useful, a new set of food containers, a cozy pair of socks, even a candle I really liked, and instead of putting it away or using it, I'd leave it on the floor by the door, or worse, on the dining table. It was like these useful things immediately became part of the mess. Every time I walked past that bag, I felt two things. One, a small flash of guilt. Ugh, I still haven't done that. And two, a weird kind of resistance, like dealing with it would take energy I didn't have. So I ignored it. For days, which only made it worse. Now I have a simple rule. If I bring something into the house, I deal with it the same day. I take it out of the bag, remove the packaging, recycle what I can. If it needs to be washed before use, I do it right away. If it's a gift or a refill, it goes straight into its place. Not later. Not when I have more time. Because later rarely comes. And in the meantime, the bag becomes visual noise, another unfinished thing, another whisper that says you're behind. It sounds small, but it's a quiet kind of self-respect. You're telling yourself, this belongs here. It's part of my home now. Clutter doesn't just come from having too much. It comes from delaying decisions. And this one little habit, dealing with things right away, helps me feel like my home belongs to me again. Some days, I just don't have it in me. I know the dishes are waiting. The clean laundry is still in the basket. There are toys on the floor, receipts on the counter, and mail I haven't opened. But I'm tired. Not lazy, just truly, deeply tired. And when I push through that kind of exhaustion, I don't feel accomplished. I feel worse. So I've made a deal with myself. When I know I won't be able to put everything away properly, I still give it a place to land. A temporary basket, a corner tray, even just a labeled bin that says, "Deal with later." It's not the final home, but it's not the floor, it's not scattered, and that's enough. On weeks when I'm overwhelmed, I let that basket fill up. Then when I do have energy, Saturday morning or a quiet evening, I go through it. One small thing at a time. A lip balm, a pair of scissors, that pack of batteries I didn't know where to put earlier. It's not a failure, it's a buffer, a softness. A way to say I'll come back to this, but I'm not punishing myself in the meantime. Because homes should hold us on the good days and the hard ones. Next, let's talk about something that can ease that invisible pressure, how we move through the house after a long day. Even when the house is calm, that moment of walking in the door can undo everything. You kick off your shoes, drop your bag, dump the mail. Toss your jacket on the nearest chair, and just like that, the room starts spiraling. I used to do this every single day. I'd come home exhausted and just release everything I was holding physically and mentally. It felt like I was finally breathing out. But then later when I looked around, I'd feel even more weighed down. So I created a little rhythm. Not a perfect system, just a gentle path for re-entry. A tray near the door for my keys. A hook for my bag. A chair where I can drop things just for a moment, but with a limit. One small basket for mail. A hanger by the closet where I can spray my jacket and let it air out before putting it away. It's not about being tidy right away. It's about not letting the first 5 minutes undo the whole day. Think of it as a soft landing zone for you and for everything you bring home with you. And speaking of bringing things home, let's talk about how much stuff actually fits in your space, and when stocking up becomes a problem. There was a time I couldn't close the supply cabinet. Paper towels falling out, bottles of cleaner stacked sideways, an awkward pile of extra dish soap at the bottom of the pantry. And still, I'd buy more, because it was on sale, because I might run out, because the thought of not having it when I need it felt worse than the daily frustration of not knowing where to put it all. But here's what I finally noticed. The stress of having too much was showing up every day, while the fear of not having enough was just a maybe. I was living with clutter now to avoid discomfort that might not even happen later. So I started setting limits. One shelf for household supplies, one basket for refills. If it doesn't fit there, I don't buy more, no matter how good the deal is. And if I'm truly worried about running out, I set a reminder to restock when it actually matters. It turns out enough isn't just about quantity. It's about what your space can comfortably hold without making you feel crowded or constantly managing overflow. When you stop filling every corner just in case you make room for something better, breathing space, calm, and the ability to see what you already have. Next, let's talk about how to stop the small stuff from taking over, because it's the tiny things that often create the biggest mess. Tiny things make the biggest mess. Not because they're bad, but because they wander. Pens, receipts, lip balm, spare keys, random paper clips. They float from one surface to another, never quite belonging anywhere. I used to gather them in piles. I'd think I'll sort this later, but later never came. And by the end of the week, I had a confusing mix of things I needed, things I didn't remember keeping, and things I was too tired to deal with. So I started giving them addresses. A jar for spare change, a zipper pouch for small cords, a labeled tray for receipts. It didn't have to be pretty, just consistent. Once each category had a home, I didn't have to think. I'd find something in my hand, and my brain would go, "Oh, you live there." It's not about becoming hyper-organized. It's about reducing the mental effort it takes to clean up. Because the more decisions you have to make, the more likely you are to put it off. And when the little things have homes, the whole room feels calmer even if nothing else has changed. Coming up next, let's talk about your fridge. Yes, even the fridge can get overwhelmed. The fridge used to stress me out more than I'd admit. Things would pile up, a half-used jar of sauce leftovers I swore I'd eat, produce turning soft in the back corner. I'd open the door and feel immediately guilty, like I was failing at something basic. But it wasn't about being messy. It was about not having a system. I didn't know what I had or when I got it or what I was supposed to do with it now. So I stopped trying to be perfect and just gave myself 3 zones. One for eat soon, one for leftovers, and one for ingredients I actually plan to use. I added a small bin for anything that's close to expiring, and I check it every few days. That's it. No color coding, no perfect rows, just enough structure to feel in control. Now when I open the fridge, I don't feel behind. I feel ready, like I know what I'm working with and what needs attention before it quietly disappears into the back. It's a small thing, but it helps. Because when your fridge feels manageable, meals feel easier. And less food goes to waste, which means less guilt, less stress, and less money. After dinner, the last thing I want to do is clean. I've already chopped, stirred, served, wiped a spill, maybe dealt with a toddler meltdown in between. So for years, I'd just walk away. I'll deal with it later, I'd say. But by the time later came, it felt 10 times harder. What changed everything, I started cleaning during cooking, just in the little in-between moments. While the pasta boils, I rinse the cutting board. While the soup simmers, I wipe the counter. I don't wait until the end anymore because I know how I'll feel by then. This isn't about being efficient. It's about being kind to future you. The version of you who'll walk into the kitchen tomorrow morning and either feel defeated or relieved. And here's the secret: you don't have to clean everything, just enough that the mess doesn't grow. Put away the ingredients. I used to think I had to explain everything. Put your shoes here. Don't leave that on the counter. This drawer is for clean cloths, not junk mail. But the more I talked, the less anyone seemed to remember. One day I stopped explaining. I just quietly put a hook by the door, a small label on the drawer, a gentle visual cue. I put my own shoes away, my own bag up, and sorted my own papers every day the same way. And slowly they followed. Not perfectly. Not always. But enough. My partner started hanging up his coat without me asking. My kids put their water bottles in the bin after school. It wasn't instant, but it was natural. People don't respond well to pressure, but they do respond to patterns, especially ones they see lived out quietly without judgment. So if you want your home to feel more peaceful, start by being the calm. Be the rhythm. Let your actions do the reminding. Because the goal isn't perfection, it's cooperation. And sometimes the softest changes last the longest. Now let's bring it all together. Those were 12 small changes that helped me feel less overwhelmed at home and more in control of my space, my time, and my energy. Nothing big, just little things that add up. If your house has been feeling heavy lately, I hope you found at least one shift here that feels doable. Something small that gives you a little more room to breathe. I'm not here to tell you to declutter your whole life, just to remind you one small change is enough to start feeling better. And if you want more content that helps your home feel lighter, and your mind too, I'd love if you subscribed. You deserve a home that supports you, not one that constantly asks more from you.